I was driving down a dark, deserted highway late one night, the rain pelting down like angry fists on my windshield. The wipers struggled to keep up, and the road seemed to vanish into the abyss ahead. I was exhausted, desperate to reach the next town for some rest, but there was no sign of civilization for miles. Just when I thought my luck had run out, I saw a figure standing by the side of the road. It was a young woman, drenched in rain, her clothes sticking to her frail body. I hesitated at first, but her desperate expression tugged at my heartstrings. I slowed down and rolled down the window. "Hey, need a ride?" I called out, trying to sound friendly. She looked at me with sad, hollow eyes and nodded gratefully, stepping into the passenger seat. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the storm. "What's your name?" I asked, trying to make conversation to keep my own fears at bay. "Emily," she replied softly, her gaze fixed on the rain-splattered window. I focused on the road ahead, my heart pounding as the sense of unease crept over me. Emily seemed so ethereal, like she was barely there at all. Her skin was pale and translucent, and her clothes looked old-fashioned, like something from a bygone era. "So, where are you headed, Emily?" I asked, trying to sound casual. But she didn't answer, just stared ahead with an unfocused gaze. I shrugged it off, assuming she was lost in thought or maybe just too tired to talk. As we drove on, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. The rain seemed to grow heavier, obscuring my vision, and the road became treacherous. I tried to focus on driving, but my mind kept wandering back to Emily, sitting silently beside me. After what felt like an eternity, I finally spotted a sign for the next town. Relief washed over me as I realized we were close to safety. "Almost there," I said, forcing a smile. But as we approached the town, something strange happened. The rain began to subside, and the clouds parted, revealing a hauntingly bright moon that bathed everything in an eerie glow. "Where do you want me to drop you off, Emily?" I asked, my voice faltering. She didn't respond, but I noticed she was no longer there. The seat beside me was empty, and I was alone in the car. I slammed on the brakes, my heart pounding in my chest. "What the hell?" I muttered to myself. And that's when I saw her again, standing by the side of the road ahead. It was Emily, the same forlorn expression on her face. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was seeing things, but when I looked again, she was still there. "This can't be real," I whispered, feeling a chill crawl up my spine. But something compelled me to keep driving. It was like an invisible force was pulling me toward her, and I couldn't resist. I stopped the car in front of her, and she got in, just like before. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice hauntingly familiar. I couldn't explain what was happening, but I knew I had to get to the bottom of it. I decided to confront Emily, to find out who she really was. "Emily, what's going on? Why do you keep appearing and disappearing?" I asked, my voice shaking. She turned to me, her eyes filled with sorrow. "I'm trapped," she said, her voice quivering. "I died on this highway, and my spirit can't rest. I need you to help me find peace." My heart sank as I realized the truth. Emily was a ghost, doomed to roam this desolate highway for all eternity. "I'll do whatever I can to help you," I said, determined to set her free. She directed me to an old, abandoned house on the outskirts of town. The place looked like it had been forgotten by time, shrouded in darkness and decay. As I entered the house, the air grew colder, and I could feel a heavy weight on my chest. Emily led me to a dusty old room and pointed to a photo on the wall. "That's me," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. The photo showed a young woman, vibrant and full of life. It was Emily, just as she had been before her tragic fate on this very highway. I turned to her, my heart breaking for this lost soul. How can I help you find peace? You have to find my body, she whispered. It's buried somewhere near the highway. Only then can I find rest. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I had to try. With Emily as my guide, I searched for days, digging through the earth, hoping to uncover her remains. Finally, we found her body, lying in a shallow grave by the side of the road. As I looked down at her lifeless form, I felt a mix of sadness and relief. Thank you, she said, her voice soft as a whisper. Now, I can finally rest. And just like that, Emily disappeared, her spirit finally finding peace. I returned to the abandoned house one last time, and as I stood in the darkness, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure. I had helped Emily find her way, but the memory of that fateful night would stay with me forever. As I drove away from the old house, I couldn't shake the feeling that Emily's tragic tale was not just a ghost story, but a warning. Sometimes, the choices we make in life can lead us down a path of no return, and the consequences can be haunting. From that day on, I never drove down that highway again. The memory of Emily's ghostly hitchhike still lingered, a constant reminder of the eerie encounter that changed my life forever. And in the silence of the night, I couldn't help but wonder if there were other lost souls like Emily, trapped in their own tragic fates, waiting for someone to set them free. I was driving late at night, the darkness swallowing the road ahead. Rain poured down like buckets, making it hard to see anything. The only solace was the comforting hum of my car's engine. As I squinted through the windshield, the headlights pierced through the rain, revealing the path ahead. But then, in the distance, something caught my eye. A dark figure lurking in the shadows, barely visible. I blinked, thinking it was just a trick of the rain and the night, but as I drove closer, my heart leaped into my throat. There was someone standing by the side of the road, watching me. I slowed down, my pulse quickening. My mind raced with thoughts of hitchhikers or stranded travelers in need of help, but something about this figure was off. They were just standing there, completely still, as if they were waiting for me. I swallowed hard, my hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Should I stop? I asked myself. Before I could decide, the figure stepped forward into the glow of my headlights. My breath caught in my throat as I saw their face, or what should have been a face. There were no features, no eyes, no mouth, just an empty void. Fear gripped me like a vice, and I slammed my foot on the gas pedal, trying to get away. But the car sputtered and stalled, leaving me stranded just a few feet away from that eerie figure. Panic set in, and I fumbled to restart the car. Come on, come on, I muttered, desperate to escape the nightmarish sight before me. Finally, the engine roared to life, and I sped away, leaving the figure behind in the darkness. But my heart wouldn't stop pounding, and the image of that faceless figure burned into my mind. I thought it was over, that I had escaped whatever horror that thing represented, but I was wrong. Every time I drove at night, I saw it again, standing by the side of the road, always watching, always waiting. I tried to convince myself it was just my imagination, that I was seeing things in the shadows, but the fear wouldn't go away. I felt like I was being hunted, like that faceless figure was coming for me. Sleep became elusive, my nights haunted by nightmares of that empty void staring back at me. I couldn't escape the feeling that it wanted something from me, that it was beckoning me to join it in the darkness. My friends and family thought I was losing my mind, but I knew what I saw was real. I could feel its presence, a malevolent force lurking in the shadows, waiting to consume me. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I had to confront that faceless figure and put an end to this horror once and for all. I drove back to the spot where I first saw it, my heart pounding in my chest. The rain poured down, obscuring my vision, but I didn't care. I had to face my fear. I parked the car and stepped out, the rain soaking me to the bone. The figure was there, just as I knew it would be, standing in the darkness. "What do you want from me?" I shouted into the night, my voice trembling. There was no response, just the sound of rain pelting the ground. "Leave me alone," I cried, my voice breaking. But the figure didn't move, didn't speak. It just stood there, a silent specter haunting my every step. In a fit of rage and desperation, I grabbed a nearby rock and hurled it at the figure, hoping to shatter the nightmare. But the rock passed right through, as if the figure wasn't even there. Tears streamed down my face, and I fell to my knees, defeated. And that's when I heard it, a voice, cold and hollow, whispering in the wind. "You can't escape me." I looked up, and there it was, the faceless figure, right in front of me. My heart stopped, and I knew there was no escape. The figure reached out, and its hand passed through my chest, sending a chill through my entire body. I felt a searing pain, and then everything went dark. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing by the side of the road, watching my own lifeless body slumped over the steering wheel. I was the faceless figure all along, condemned to haunt this desolate highway for all eternity. And so, I became the very horror that had haunted me, a twisted specter lurking in the shadows, waiting to ensnare the next unsuspecting traveler. Remember, if you ever find yourself driving down a dark, rainy road late at night, be wary of the car's headlights. They may just reveal a creepy figure lurking in the shadows, and your fate may be sealed before you know it. I was driving home one foggy night when I saw them, the flashing lights of a police car up ahead. My heart sank as I realized they were pulling someone over. I slowed down, not wanting to get caught up in whatever was going on. But then, I saw it, a figure darting out from behind the police car, wearing a tattered, blood-stained dress. It was the infamous hitchhiking hag, an urban legend that haunted these parts. Fear washed over me as I remembered the stories I had heard about her. They said she was the ghost of a woman who died tragically in a car accident years ago. Now, she roamed the roads, looking for her next victim. I tried to shake off the fear, telling myself it was just a trick of the fog and my imagination. But then, the figure turned and looked at me, her eyes glowing red like fiery coals. I slammed my foot on the gas, my heart racing as I tried to escape. But no matter how fast I went, she was right there behind me, gaining speed with every passing second. I swerved through the winding roads, desperately trying to lose her. But no matter how many turns I made, she was always right there, her twisted smile sending shivers down my spine. I glanced in my rearview mirror and saw her face pressed against the glass, her eyes locking with mine. I could feel her presence in the car, her cold breath on my neck. "Leave me alone," I screamed, but she only laughed, a haunting sound that echoed through the night. I was running out of options, my gas tank dangerously close to empty. But I couldn't stop, I knew what would happen if she caught me. As I approached a bridge, an idea struck me. Maybe I could lose her by jumping into the river below. It was a crazy plan, but I was desperate. I held my breath and drove straight for the edge of the bridge, my heart pounding in my chest. At the last moment, I swerved away, hoping she would follow. I looked in my rearview mirror and saw her still gaining on me, her eyes burning with fury. My plan hadn't worked, and I was running out of time. Just as I was about to give up, I saw a glimmer of hope, a small, abandoned building up ahead. Maybe I could lose her there, among the ruins. I pulled into the crumbling structure, my tires screeching against the gravel. The building was a maze of broken walls and debris, a perfect place to hide. I turned off my headlights, hoping she wouldn't see me. I held my breath, listening for any sign of her. Minutes passed like hours, and I started to believe that maybe I had lost her. Maybe I was safe. But then, I heard it, a soft, eerie laughter, coming from all around me. She was here, and she knew exactly where I was. I tried to be quiet, to blend into the darkness. But no matter how hard I tried, she seemed to know my every move. Suddenly, the laughter grew louder, more manic. It was like she was inside my head.